Hello, welcome back to Algebra 1. We're going to continue talking about radicals, learning how to multiply and divide them. We've done a little bit of this in the past, but really we're going to dive into a set of lessons where we're going to get into some pretty detailed examples. And you'll be very comfortable with it because it's actually not hard at all. Now, the first thing is when you see the word radical, you just need to think, for now anyway, think square root. That's the square root symbol we've been talking about. So anytime you see adding radicals, dividing radicals, that's really what we're talking about. And I need to have you recall a few things that we have learned in the past. And one of them, or there really are just a couple of rules that we have learned. If you remember, if you have the square root of a times the square root of b, that can be the same thing as the square root of a times b. Now, you may remember this backwards. I think I wrote it, this is equal to this. So this was on the left and this was on the right, but they're equivalent. They're the same thing. So if you see two things multiplied under the radical, you can break them up like this. Also, if you see two radicals multiplied together, you can always join them into a single radical and multiply their insides. So that's really important because we're going to do that for a lot of problems here pretty soon. The other rule I want you to recall is that the square root of a over the square root of b can be written as the square root of a over b. And of course this goes both ways. If you see a fraction under a radical, you could break it up into the division of the radical on the top divided by the radical on the bottom. Or you can look at it this way and say, well, if I ever see something like this, I can join them under a radical. So these are important. I'm going to leave them here, and they're important enough for you to remember, basically. I don't tell you to memorize too many things, but you need to probably remember these. The good news is, as we do a lot of problems, you won't really have to remember them because you'll just use them so much that you'll understand them. So the first problem is 5 times the square root of 3 times 2 times the square root of 3. And the question is simplify this as much as you can. What you have here is 5 times the square root of 3 times 2 times the square root of 3. So the numbers that are sitting out in front are just multiplied together just like any number. So the way you would write this is you would say 5 times 2. Those are the numbers that are there. And then you have these radicals, these square roots that are multiplied together, which falls into this bucket. You have two radicals. It doesn't matter what's inside of them. You can join them under a single radical. So it'll be times, and on the inside you have 3 times 3. From this, one from here and one from here, those are multiplied together. So when you continue down the line here, what you get is 10 on the outside, and the square root of 3 times 3 is 9 there. And you all know that the square root of 9 is 3, so really this is 10 times 3, which is 30. This would be what you would circle for your final answer, the number 30. Now there's no way, even for me, that I would be able to look at this and just